Hello people, we have Judgment before us. Let's get all judgy. And this is the Judgment card from the Night Sun deck. Now, as a tarot reader, I am absolutely fascinated with the idea of Judgment and its place in the tarot hierarchy, if you like. In a lot of early decks, Judgment came after the World, which is interesting. But I'm not here to talk about Judgment in that broad contextual tarot. I've completely lost my words. Yeah, I'm not here to talk about Judgment as it is. I'm here to talk about Judgment in the Night Sun deck. So first of all, it tells us that it is indeed card number 20, almost to the end of the cycle. There is a fiery element behind it, which is important. I think it's very important that that the Night Sun does tell you that in symbolic language, that there is a lot of fire behind Judgment. There is the Hebrew letter of Shin over there, which I like to think looks like a crown, which again vibes well with the idea of Judgment. Now, as I said, I'm fascinated by the Judgment card. I'm fascinated by the astrological association with Pluto, which isn't evident on the Night Sun card. I totally agree with that. The other fascinating thing I find about Judgment, and unfortunately the Night Sun does fall prey to this as well, is this aping of Christian symbology. You know, is that or is that not Gabriel blowing the trumpet of rapture, the dead rising from their graves? That's the idea behind the Judgment card. But I think it goes much deeper than that. But like I said, that the Night Sun does indeed ape this Christian imagery of the end of times, if you like. Indeed, you have an angelic figure. I suppose you could assume that is Gabriel blowing on a horn. And indeed, these it's interesting that it's very much you're the male, female, and the child. Everybody's coming back forth to life. Are they emerging from coffins? Well, you tell me. I certainly suspect that they might be. I certainly think they could be. Now, I do think Judgment is ill-served by the Christian imagery. But again, yeah, I'm not here to talk about Judgment as it is. Let's think about the Night Sun card. What's interesting about here, I mean, the angel is wearing some sort of religious doctrine. He's pointing down as well. He's pointing down to the underworld. And it's almost as if he's blowing his horn and saying, you guys down there, up you get. let's get a move on. A few interesting things going on in this card. The growing flowers is a very repeating symbolic theme going on in the Night Sun deck, but interestingly, these flowers are sprouting from these figures' third eyes, which is interesting. What does that mean? You know, are we talking about not just a reawakening on a physical, forceful level, but also on a spiritual level? Maybe. The idea of this blue paint as well. The blue paint does crop up a few times in this deck, notably in the hands of the Hierophant and the Hermit. But the blue paint is covering more of these figures here. Now, what does it mean? I don't know. There must be some sort of esoteric correspondence with the blue paint. It doesn't explain that in the rather flimsy booklet that you get with this deck. It isn't spelled out. It's something that I suppose is there to reignite your intuition. The colour scheme of this fiery card is very unfiery. You know, you've got the sort of yellowy, airy thing going on, as well as the greeny, pentacle-y thing going on, and the blue that could be signified by water and cups, perhaps. No fire, no red, no orange, which is interesting. I'm sure that there must be a reason for that, whether it's conscious or subconscious, I do not know. I mentioned the book. It tells us that the Judgment is about renewal, new consciousness, which again, that third eye sprouting, union, family. Again, you know, the families is a important motif in Judgment cards. Liberation, of course, reawakening, discoveries, vocation, which I think is fascinating, transcending, desire, which is that fiery element, infancy child here. Ill-dignified, uncertainty, and crisis as well. Now, I like to think that the Judgment card does have a bit of a Tower element as well to it. And if you've seen the video for the Tower card concerning this card, it's a kind of I wouldn't say a watered-down Tower card, but not quite as shocking and powerful as some other tarot decks. But this Judgment card, yeah, it does vibe well with other tarot images, but I think it does take on that Tower energy a little bit. I think Judgment's a fascinating card. Maybe the image here is let down by the Christian mysticism hangover. I don't know, but I'm very interested in what Judgment means. That idea of reawakening, that idea of force, of action, of things actually happening. You know, these aren't spirits that are rising from the grave. They're the actual physical form, if you like. So yeah. So yeah, I like the Judgment card in the Night Sun deck, and that's what we've got here. Judgment, Night Sun. Thank you.